Hi guys, it's Claire. I'm back with another card making process video for you, and today we're making a card using the beautiful Vintage Roses stamp set from ALTENEW. You can see there I've picked my colours already. We're using Tim Holtz Distress Inks in Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed, Fossilised Amber and Wild Honey. Now, if you know how these ALTENEW stamp sets work, you don't need me to explain this to you, but basically there's 3 or 4 parts to every rose that's in the set. So you get a base layer and then more detailed parts that go up on top. You stamp them in different colours so you get all the detail in that rose. You'll see here as I do this sort of what I mean. So I start off by stamping my lightest colour with the fullest stamp, so the background, if you like, or the biggest part of the rose. And then I stamp the next. And I'm actually stamping, I chose 3 roses from the stamp set and I'm stamping each one of those roses twice. So you'll see me do the background colour or the base colour here, and then I switch over to another piece of cardstock and do it again for my second rose. So as I say, same rose, but I'm doing each one twice. Now I'm using the MISTI, as you can see. If you've watched my MISTI video, you know that I love the MISTI for these ALTENEW stamps, or not just ALTENEW stamps, but ones where you've got double or triple stamping needed. It's absolutely brilliant. You can see there I needed to ink up and do that 3 times to get enough colour on there to make it, a nice solid background. So now I'm switching over the colour, so I'm cleaning off that one, switching over to my middle stamp, or part 2 of the rose, which I'm going to do in a slightly darker colour. I think this is the Fossilised Amber. This rose actually only has 3 parts to it. The other ones that I choose, or I've chosen out of the set, have 4 steps to it. So this is actually the easiest one that you see me doing here. So it's got 3 layers to this rose. So you can see me doing the middle layer there, and again I do this one a couple of times, keep inking and stamping until I'm happy with the coverage that I've got, then switch back over to the other one and do the second part of that one. And then obviously I move on to the third part of the stamp, which is the finest details, or the darkest colour and finest details of the rose. Now I'm going to speed you up in a minute because, as I say, I do 6 of these in total, 3 roses, 2 of each, so it's quite time consuming. I think in real time it actually took me about 15 minutes to do these roses. It's not too bad, but quite time consuming. Nothing too tricky. Once you get everything lined up, it's relatively easy to do, but yeah, it does take a bit of time, so I will speed you up through that, as it's quite boring to watch. And you can see when you put that last layer on, the detail is it really makes the rose come to life. This dimensional stamping like this is brilliant. And obviously you can do these in any colours. My favourite happen to be yellow roses, but you can do them in any colours you want. Okay, so we're nearly at the end of these 2. And as I say, I speed you up through the next part where you watch me do the remaining 4 roses. You can see there quite how many stamps you get in the stamp set. It really is a big stamp set. You've got, I think, 6 or 7 different roses in the stamp set. You've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 different types of leaf in there. And obviously with all their little detailed parts as well. And I think there's a couple of sentiments. Yeah, you've got Happy Wedding and Happy Anniversary, I think, in there. And it's a really, really pretty set. As I say, these cards, or to do these flowers, is time consuming, but the cards that you make are just so pretty. There's nothing else like it. They're always relatively simple cards, as in you don't need to do a lot else other than make these roses. That is enough on the card, but they always look absolutely beautiful. Now I'm fussy cutting all of these out. I do believe that ALTENEW now sell dies for these and for their other stamp sets as well, but they're very easy to fussy cut, and I'm quite happy fussy cutting, so I don't mind doing that. So I cut out and left a tiny white border around all of the flowers. Now this is my actual card front that I've cut down here. It's about, I think, 13.5 centimetres square, and I've chosen my leaves and I'm stamping those up just using 2 colours of green. There is more detail you can add to these leaves. I only done them very basic, so I stamped up the bulk of the leaf, or the base part, as you can see there, in Memento Pear Tart colour, which is a light green. And then I start to place my rose on, see if I've got enough leaves, and I actually decide that I'm going to need a few more, so I ink up half of the stamp for this, just to get a smaller sprig of leaves. I shouldn't have bothered doing that, to be honest. I should have just stamped the whole thing, because you'll see in a minute I start to lay my roses down on top and then decide that I'm actually going to need some more leaves in the middle, because I don't like it being empty in the middle. Anyway, here I've chosen, or I'm deciding what detail to put into the stamp. So I've pulled one of the sort of detailed parts out of the stamp set, and actually then put that back and pull out one that's got slightly less detail, just a few sort of veins that you can see. And this is cheating really, because I use the same one for all of the leaves that you can see there, and in the stamp set you don't need to do that. There's all different ones with all different detail. You could have maybe, I think some of the leaves have got 3 layers to them, so you could have done a lot more detail than what I did, but I just picked out one that would work on all of these leaves, add some detail excuse me, and look fine. So again, I'm speeding you up a little bit because it's a bit boring for you to watch me just stamp the same thing over and over again. So that's it. I'm calling that done, and the colour I'm using there is Memento again, and it's Bamboo Leaves. Now here you'll see I start to, this is where I put the roses on and realise that I don't like it being white underneath, like in the background of the roses. I want some green behind them. So you'll see me in a minute, I move everything off and then stamp some, just some basic green behind. I don't bother going in with the detail, like the finer parts of the leaves, but I just want some green behind there. And that's it, simple as that. As I say, I don't take too much time over that, it's just to get some colour behind the roses. Now I start to fiddle around here and trying to find the right placement for my roses, and I do fiddle around with this for a long time. As I say, I've got 6 roses to play with, and you know, looking at it now, when I'm looking back as I'm recording the voiceover for this, it looks absolutely fine wherever they are, but when I was making the card I was fussing around for ages trying to get them just perfect and just right. So yeah, it takes me a long time and a lot of playing to finally get a placement that I'm happy with. Okay, I know that I want them all to be raised and on foam pads, so I think in a minute, oh no, this is, I'm not happy with my placement still, so I decide that I'm going to pop the sentiment on, because I don't know how far to spread those roses out. So I stop doing that for a minute and then worry about getting my sentiment on there. The sentiment I've chosen is from an Avery Ale set. It's called Cake and Candles, and there's just a nice happy birthday to you, like a nice swirly sort of font in there that I like, and it fits my card, the front of this card, nicely. So yeah, using the MISTI again just to get that position lined up nice and straight and ink it up. Again, this is another reason why I love the MISTI so much. I know if you've watched my MISTI video, I keep saying the same thing over again, but this is brilliant for this. I stamped a black sentiment, it didn't come out perfect first time, I was able to go over a second time, it still wasn't 100% perfect, but I go over a third time and it's absolutely perfect. It's nice solid black, there's not a single little bit missing, and it's just absolutely perfect. So it really is, the MISTI is brilliant. Okay, so I'm back to placing my roses again now, and as I say, I know that I want them on foam pads, so I take the time to put foam pads on the back of them, but I don't peel the backs off the foam pads yet, I just have them raised so that I can move them all around. So again, I start fussing with where to put them. I actually turn the camera off for a while here and have a play, because I just can't get the position right. That just wherever I put them, it's not looking right. And I think it's just me being fussy, because as I say, looking back at it now, they look absolutely fine. What I eventually do is take one of the roses away. I decide that the problem is that I've got 6. I don't like having 6. I prefer to have an odd number. So when I take one away and go down to 5, I seem to make it sort of work a bit better. You'll see that in just a minute. I've taken one away. I've got 5 on there, and I've actually gone ahead and stuck them on there. And I'm happy with that placement. Okay, now I choose this really, for the background paper, I choose this really solid, bold, black and white diagonal stripe. I love this sort of paper. I use it quite a lot in my scrapbooking. It really is sort of a statement piece of paper, a nice bold piece of paper. And the roses being yellow, they go perfectly with black and white, so I just thought this would be lovely to use and keep it a nice, modern, fresh card with a bold, you know, it really stands out. So I cut that down to size. I think the stripe is 14 centimetre square, and the piece of black that I've cut down there is 14.5 by 14.5, which fits perfectly on the cards that I always use, which are the Craftwork cards. They're 148 by 148, so 14.8 square cards, which are my favourite type of cards. So I'm sticking that background on, just flat sticking that. I've also cut a back piece there for the behind the front of the roses, as I think that was 13 centimetres, so the background piece would have been 13.5 centimetres. I always use just a half a centre, so a centimetre, a 5mm difference between my top and bottom layer. And then I decide that I fold my card base over, just get that ready for the card to go on, or ready to assemble everything. I decide that I want my front piece raised. So as I always do, I don't use loads of foam pads for this. I use an old piece of packaging, just a piece of chipboard there, or fun foam if I've got it, either, whatever I grab first really, just to make a nice solid raised back for that. Lots of scotch on there, and then just stick that into the middle of there and assemble the whole thing. This bit, you know, it's not rocket science, it's very easy, just sticking the background on and raising up the focal point. Okay, so as I say, that's raised up, sorry. I really do love that yellow with the black and white. I think that looks so nice. Okay, so I take a look at it, but then I realise that it needs maybe just a little something more. So I rummage around and pull out these Paper Mania gems, or adhesive pearls. They've got a little bit of a sort of shiny, shimmery finish. They're not really pearls like dull pearls. They're a sort of shiny pearl. They look really quite pretty, and they do catch all the different colours. So I scatter a few of those around. Just keep sort of picking them up and popping. I've had these in my stash for absolutely years, and I'm just trying to kill sort of things like this really, and just use them up and get rid of them. So yeah, so I scatter just a few of those in a selection of sizes around the card, and then when I've done that, I call the card done. It was a nice one to make. It did take a long time. I think it took me about 40 minutes, this card in total, because there's a lot of stamping and a lot of fussy cutting, but I do love it. It's really, really nice. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back with another one soon. Take care. Bye.